I cheated on my husband 14 times with his best friend and other guys, and now I don't know what to do about it. This story is wild, so hold on. My husband and I have been married for 2 years. We're best friends, so we've had a really good relationship. We got married after 6 months of meeting each other. During that whole time, I met a lot of his friends, including his best friend. But he told me he had another best friend who was going to be traveling for a full year. One day, my husband tells me that all his friends are getting together to greet their best friend, the one who had been traveling for a full year. We show up to the party, and it turns out that this best friend is a woman. Not just any woman, one that looks like she could model for Vogue. This woman was so good looking, I instantly got insecure. When her and my husband saw each other, they ran to each other's arms. Then I spent the entire night trying to be included in the conversation. Every time I would ask a question, she would answer it to my husband. She would never even look me in the face. Finally, I asked her if she had a problem, and she said, "No, I'm sorry. I'm just really excited to see my best friend." When we got in the car, I told my husband I didn't like her. Then he said that he knew exactly what I was going to say. And he also said not to worry because I wouldn't never have to hang out with her. And that he would hang out with her without me, just to save me the trouble. Part 2 is up. I cheated on my husband 14 times with his best friend and other guys, and now I don't know what to do. That's when he told me that he would hang out with his girl best friend without me, so that he could save me the trouble of having to see her face. Then I asked him if he thought that she was more attractive than me, and that if he preferred to be with her than with me. He started to laugh and said no, and he felt offended that I would even ask him. So basically, he didn't even answer my question. Sometimes he would tell me that he would go hang out with her at bars. I would stay home and just literally cry the entire time. I would get sick to my stomach picturing my husband hanging out with this Vogue model. That's when I reached out to my husband's best friend and asked him what the deal with her was. And this man spilled all the tea. He told me that they had all been best friends since college, and that the Vogue model was basically in love with my husband the entire time they were in college. But my husband never paid attention to her. But then he told me that they ended up hooking up one night, and that after that my husband was hooked. But then she didn't want to be with him. Instead, they decided to stay best friends. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. Part 3 is up. I cheated on my husband 14 times with his best friend and other guys, and now I don't know what to do. After finding out that my husband had hooked up with his girl best friend who was really attractive, I vomited. Even though this was before I had met him, something told me that she was probably still in love with him. That's when my husband's guy best friend who had just told me everything invited me over to his house. And then the idea just came to me. I'm gonna start hooking up with whoever I want if my husband's gonna be doing it with his best friend. So I went over to this guy's house, we had a few drinks, and I hooked up with him. Did I regret it? Absolutely not. I felt liberated. It's like I had gotten revenge on my husband. So after that, I went on a rampage. I tried to hook up with as many of his friends as possible. Exactly 6 guys. Then I looked for the guys that I liked in college, and I hooked up with a bunch of them too. In total, 14. This all happened in a month. But now my husband told me that his best friend, the girl that I thought he was hooking up with, is pregnant from another guy and that they're getting married. And that the whole time she was away traveling for a year, she was with this man. Now I feel like a total asshole. What should I do?
I just matched with my dead wife on Tinder. I had numbly swiped left so many times in a row I almost missed it. I wish I had. My wife Allison had been dead for 2 full years. Yet there she was, on Tinder, smiling at me, in a photo I had never seen, looking older than she did when she passed. All of the air went out of the room. I skimmed through the rest of her profile. There was no writing, but 3 other pictures of my dead wife I had never seen before, including one with the Statue of Liberty behind her, even though I knew she had never been to New York City. At least to my knowledge, the profile had the right name. The right after for if my wife had just kept living after July 2020 but her location was 9 miles away. I swiped right and breathed. I swiped right and breathed for the first time in nearly 2 minutes. I struggled to sleep for the next 48 hours. Never getting a match. Ready to message Tinder and tell them someone was impersonating my beloved dead wife on their app and doing some kind of magical Photoshop to put her in pictures that never existed. The match came at 3:33 a.m., lighting up my phone. I was already awake. The match came with a message. Just a simple hi. The absolute worst in any situation, let alone this one. I mashed the letters on my phone as hard and as fast as I could. Who is this? Why are you doing this? And where did you get these pictures of my wife? She died of cervical cancer 2 years ago, you monster. I had to wait for another 24 hours before I got an answer. It came in the middle of the "Are you home?" What? What the fuck? I got another answer before I could form my own. I'm outside. My blood ran cold. Something rattled in the darkness of my kitchen and I jumped up and readied myself in bed, then realized it was just ice dropping in the ice maker in the freezer. Another message. Holy shit. Let me in, please. Fuck. 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 What? Someone had to be fucking with me, but who would be this impossibly cruel and diabolical? There may have been a couple of people who didn't like me at work, but no one who would go anywhere near this far. Another message. Never mind. No more time for thought. Just reading. Never mind. I just matched with my dead wife on Tinder. I heard the front door of my house close and I tightened up in my bed. I started to write back. Why? I'm a dumbass. I don't know. Another message rang in before I could shoot mine off. You're on Tinder too soon, Derry. The pet name only the two of us used between each other. The logistics of who knew that name flashed through my head as I heard footsteps approach my unlocked bedroom door. Then the footsteps stopped right outside. They were accompanied by a fresh message in my inbox. You were supposed to warn me, not try to fuck 23-year-olds on Tinder. Oh my god. I realized right there that it was even following Allison's quirk to impeccably punctuate any kind of message even if it didn't matter, putting the dashes into 23-year-old. I spoke, finally. Allison, I'm sorry. I love you. I miss you. I've been sick to my stomach for 2 years, but I had to move on. I threw up most mornings for almost a year on Tinder. Oh my god. I realized right there that it was even following Allison's quirk to impeccably punctuate any kind of message even if it didn't matter, putting the dashes into 23-year-old. I spoke, finally. Allison, I'm sorry. I love you. I miss you. I've been sick to my stomach for 2 years, but I had to move on. I threw up most mornings for almost a year. I was wrecked. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything, but I'm finally starting to put it together. I pleaded into the wood of my bedroom door, my throat went dry. I couldn't speak anymore, too choked up, just like I had been when I tried to give Allison's eulogy. I'm fucking sorry. Everything hurts. Every day. You're my only love. Forever. I barely got the words out. I couldn't hear or see anything but I could sense someone out there on the other side of the door. Then I couldn't. Then I heard footsteps walk away. I walked out to the front door and looked outside. There were no signs of life. I went back to my phone in the bedroom. Allison's profile had been deleted. I felt okay. Until a couple of nights ago after I came back from a date with a 26-year-old I met off of Tinder. I came home tipsy after a few drinks and a make-out session in my car. On a high, I checked the app to see photos of the girl whose tongue had just been in my mouth and noticed that I had a new like. I had my account on premium so I could see who it was. It was Allison again, but with the same profile. She was only 1 mile away. I swiped right. Let's see where it goes.
Am I the asshole for not letting my husband's friend be my newest baby's godfather after the joke he made about our daughter? Disclaimer, this is not my story. So I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but to feel justified in my decision, I feel the need for more opinions. My husband is friends with a guy named Glenn. Glenn has always been crude and tells stupid jokes that make me not want to be around him. My husband is a wonderful man but has a soft spot for Glenn. They grew up in poverty together and spent their childhoods looking out for each other. That being said, my husband keeps Glenn away from me because he knows I am not fond of him. An example of a joke he made when my husband and I were dating was, "Damn, she looks like a hot hooker." So yes, he's not my favorite guy. I try to be respectful of their circumstances and I haven't said anything about their friendship until now. I'm pregnant with my second child and Glenn begged to be our newest baby's godfather. I have no idea why he wasn't interested in being the godfather to our 3-year-old daughter. Initially, I was cool with it. He's a hardworking man and I assumed he was trying to show that he's responsible. He said he would take care of our children if anything happened. Am I the asshole for not letting my husband's friend be my newest baby's godfather after the joke he made about our daughter? Disclaimer, this is not my story. He said he would take care of our children if anything happened to me or my husband. Last night he came over for drinks and I was bathing my daughter. After her bath, she ran down the hallway butt naked, evading my capture and into the kitchen where the boys were having drinks. I quickly collected her and proceeded to put her to bed. I came downstairs to overhear Glenn say, "You know, your Latino blood and her white blood made a very attractive young girl. I'm not attracted to her now, but damn, she'll be hot when she grows up." I felt sick to my stomach. I went into the kitchen to hear the beginning of a shouting match between him and my husband. He swore it was just a joke, but my husband and I quickly made him leave. We said in no way, shape, or form will he be the godfather of either of our kids. He's been texting my husband nonstop today saying that he's sorry and it was an honest joke. But we made the decision that he won't be anywhere near our children in the future and I think it's a good one. But I wanted second opinions. Did we overreact? Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to stop telling people she's Jamaican? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 25 male, and my girlfriend Wendy, 24 female, have been together for 2 years. She did one of those DNA testings to find out her heritage and the results said that she was 1% West Indian and it was most likely Jamaican. Just to clarify, we're both white. We went out with friends the other night and she told everyone how she was Jamaican and how excited she was to learn that she was black. One of our friends, Kaylin, who is a black woman, became uncomfortable and said that being 1% Jamaican doesn't mean she's black. I said I agreed and gently explained to Wendy that maybe she shouldn't say that anymore. We were in front of friends, so I tried to keep my tone kind and make sure the conversation didn't turn into an argument. When we got home, she started ranting about how Kaylin had no right to correct her like that and how I shouldn't have piled on. She said it's a fact that she's Jamaican and the test confirmed it and she was only reporting the test results. I apologized for correcting her in front of our friends, but I said she really shouldn't call herself black all of a sudden because of a test. She hasn't spoken to me a lot since then and we live together, so it's tense. Am I the asshole for telling my mom her stepdaughter is possessive and she needs to do better to keep her away from me? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My mom married Jeff when I was 6 years old. My dad died 2 months earlier, but my parents were divorced at the time. Jeff and his daughter Emma lived in another state, and all 4 of us moved to a new place to start over. I met Jeff and Emma 2 weeks after my dad died. My mom made a fast move because she now could without my dad being able to stop her. Right from the get-go, Emma was being clingy, possessive, and kind of a little creepy too. I didn't like her from the first day we met because she told me Jeff was my dad now and that I needed to learn how to be a family with them because she wanted a sister and a mom. It upset me so bad because I was missing my dad. He wasn't gone that long and I had this strange girl tell me to replace him already. I told her that her dad wasn't my dad and I missed my dad. She told me she didn't care and things were different now. I went to my mom, who told me to give Emma and Jeff a chance, and said Emma likely got overexcited. But Emma has continuously made life so awkward for me. She insisted we share a bedroom, which my mom and Jeff said yes to. Am I the asshole for telling my mom her stepdaughter is possessive and she needs to do better to keep her away from me? Disclaimer, this is not my story. Emma insisted we share a bedroom, which my mom and Jeff said yes to despite having a spare bedroom. She started wearing my clothes and telling me that I could wear hers. All of this was fine with my mom and Jeff. Emma hated how I kept in touch with my best friend from back home. She hated it even more when a year later my best friend's family moved nearby and we got to see each other again versus talking over the phone. She was so rude to her, told her to leave me alone, and then told me I had to spend time with her instead of my best friend. Emma tore up photos of me and my dad and told me he was in the past and her and Jeff were the future. She did get in trouble for that, but I got in trouble for not letting it go. My mom has talked to me before about being nicer to Emma and to stop pushing her away so much. She got on my case again about it because I wouldn't go to a camp with Emma that she wanted to go to. Emma went and I stayed. My mom was mad at me and I eventually snapped and told her that she needed to fix how possessive Emma is and do better by me because I'm her daughter and I lost my dad.